Everyone thought she was crazy. A rich, educated woman, walking away from luxury, to marry a man who cleaned floors for a living. They whispered, they laughed, they judged, but none of them knew one thing. This marriage wasn't her downfall. It was her escape. And the man they called a janitor was hiding a truth powerful enough to shake their world. From the outside, Elena Carter's life looked flawless. A glass mansion on the hill, designer dresses hanging in silent closets, expensive dinners that tasted like nothing, and a husband everyone admired. Victor Hale, charming in public, respected in business, praised at every social event. But when the doors closed, the silence became heavy. The air became dangerous. "Why are you late?" Victor asked one night, his voice calm but sharp. Elena placed her purse down slowly. "I stayed longer at the foundation meeting." Victor smiled, the kind that never reached his eyes. "You don't need meetings," he said. "You need permission." That night, Elena cried in the bathroom with the water running, so no one would hear. Victor never hit her. He didn't need to. He controlled her bank accounts, her phone, her schedule, her voice. "You embarrass me," he would say in public, smiling for cameras. "You're lucky I tolerate you." At parties, he'd joke about her intelligence. People laughed. Elena learned to smile too. Inside, something was breaking quietly. She stopped arguing, stopped dreaming, stopped recognizing herself in mirrors. Until one night, everything changed. The argument started small. It always did. Victor accused her of talking too much at dinner, of wearing the wrong dress, of existing the wrong way. "You're nothing without me," he snapped. That sentence hit harder than any slap. Elena locked herself in the guest room, her heart racing, hands shaking. For the first time, a terrifying thought crossed her mind. "If I stay, I will disappear." She packed a small bag. No jewelry, no credit cards, just her documents and her dignity. At dawn, she walked out of the mansion. Barefoot, free but terrified. The city felt different without protection. Louder, colder, unforgiving. Elena rented a tiny apartment using cash she had secretly saved for years. She took a simple job at a community office. No assistants, no chauffeurs, just her and silence. At night, memories haunted her. Victor's voice echoed in her head. "You'll come back, you always do." But this time, she didn't. Elena met Daniel Reed on a rainy morning. She was struggling to unlock the office door when he appeared, holding an umbrella. "Looks like the lock's stuck," he said gently. He wore simple clothes, worn shoes, a janitor's badge clipped to his jacket. Daniel fixed the lock in seconds. "Thank you," Elena said softly. He nodded, about to leave, then paused. "You're new here," he said. "It shows." She smiled faintly. "So does exhaustion." Something about his voice felt calm. Safe. They began seeing each other every morning. Daniel cleaned floors. Elena organized files. They spoke about simple things. Weather, coffee, old books. He never asked about her past. Never pushed. That alone felt revolutionary. One evening, Elena stayed late. Daniel was mopping the hallway. "Why do you work so hard?" she asked. He smiled. "Because floors tell the truth," he said. "They show who walks all over others and who walks carefully." She didn't understand then, but she felt it. Victor found her. He always did. A black car waited outside her building one night. Victor stepped out, perfectly dressed, smiling like a savior. "There you are," he said. "You're embarrassing yourself." Elena's hands trembled, but she didn't step back. "I'm not coming back," she said. Victor laughed. "You have nothing, no money, no protection." Daniel watched from a distance, silent, observing. Victor leaned closer to Elena and whispered, "You'll beg me soon." Then he walked away. Elena felt weak, but something inside her refused to break again. That night, Elena sat on the apartment floor, shaking. A knock came at the door. Daniel stood there, holding a bag. "Soup," he said simply. "You looked like you forgot to eat." She broke down. For the first time, she told someone everything. The control, the fear, the humiliation. Daniel listened, didn't interrupt, didn't judge. When she finished, he said only one thing: "You're stronger than you think." Those words stayed. Months passed. Elena rebuilt herself slowly. Then Victor struck again, legally. Threats, lawyers, pressure. One afternoon, Elena sat across from Daniel in a small cafe. "If I don't remarry," she said quietly, "he can force me back into court, into his control." Daniel looked at her, calm as ever. "What if you marry me?" he asked. She froze. "You're serious?" "Yes," he said. "No contracts, no control, just trust." Tears filled her eyes. The world would laugh. But for the first time, the choice felt right. When Elena announced her engagement, the reactions were brutal. "A janitor. She's lost her mind. This won't last a month." Victor smiled when he heard. And Daniel quietly made a phone call that night. His voice low, controlled. "Prepare everything," he said. "The test has begun." They didn't just judge her decision. They attacked it. A woman who once lived in glass halls was now choosing a life the world refused to respect. And the man she chose wasn't fighting back. He was watching. Because some tests aren't meant to be passed quietly. They're meant to expose everyone else. The news spread faster than Elena expected. Engaged. The word felt unreal when she said it out loud. At the community office, whispers followed her through hallways. Isn't she the one who lived in that mansion? She left everything for a janitor. Must be desperate. Elena kept her head down. She reminded herself why she chose this. Peace, safety, freedom. Daniel, meanwhile, acted unchanged. Same routine, same clothes, same quiet presence. But behind that calm, something was moving. Elena hadn't told her family yet. She waited too long. When she finally did, the silence on the phone hurt more than shouting. "A janitor," her mother asked, stunned. "After everything you had?" Her brother laughed awkwardly. "Is this some kind of phase?" Elena tried to explain. That Daniel listened. That he never controlled her. That she felt human again. But they didn't hear her. They heard status slipping away. "You're throwing your life away," her mother said softly. Elena ended the call with tears streaming down her face. Daniel found her sitting on the stairs outside the building. "They think I'm stupid," she whispered. Daniel sat beside her. "No," he said calmly. "They're afraid." Their relationship grew in silence, not spectacle. They cooked simple meals together. Walked without destinations. shared stories at night. Daniel talked about growing up with nothing, about learning patience, about watching how power changed people. Elena never noticed how carefully he chose his words. One evening, she asked, "Does it bother you what people say about you?" Daniel smiled faintly. "People only see what they're allowed to," he replied. "That's not my burden." She didn't fully understand. Yet, Victor Hale didn't stay quiet. Court papers arrived one morning. Claims, threats, financial pressure. Elena's hands shook as she read. "He wants to break us," she said. Daniel read the documents calmly. "He wants control," Daniel corrected. "And control hates uncertainty." Victor's message followed shortly after. "You'll crawl back, you always do." For a moment, fear returned. But Daniel took Elena's hands. "He doesn't own you anymore," he said firmly. "And he won't touch you again." There was something in his voice. Something final. At work, Daniel overheard conversations he was never meant to hear. Executives spoke freely around him. Assumed he was invisible. Plans, deals, arrogance. He remembered every word. At night when Elena slept, Daniel checked his phone. Messages stacked up. Numbers, reports, timelines. He replied to none of them. Not yet. The worst moment came unexpectedly. Elena ran into old acquaintances at a restaurant. They recognized her instantly. "Oh my God, Elena," one woman said loudly. "We heard you married maintenance staff." The laughter was instant. Elena froze. Daniel stood beside her, silent. One man leaned closer. "You must really hate luxury." Elena swallowed hard. Daniel placed a gentle hand on her back and said nothing. Later that night, Elena broke down. "I hate that they see you this way," she cried. Daniel wiped her tears. "Let them," he said softly. "Truth doesn't need defending." Lying in bed one night, Elena whispered, "Why me?" Daniel turned toward her. "Because you chose kindness when you had power," he said, "and humility when you lost it." She studied his face. "Sometimes," she said slowly, "I feel like there's more to you." Daniel smiled, not denying it. "Sometimes," he replied, "we meet people at the wrong chapter." They planned a small wedding. No media, no luxury, just a registry office and a simple celebration. Victor heard about it through contacts. His reaction was immediate. A smirk. "Let her marry her mistake," he told his associates. "She'll regret it." Daniel overheard that too. And for the first time, he smiled. A stranger approached Elena outside her office. "Be careful," the woman whispered. "Victor doesn't lose." Elena felt cold fear again. That night, she confronted Daniel. "Are you sure you're ready for this?" she asked. "He'll never stop." Daniel looked at her steadily. "I've been ready my whole life." Those words echoed. On the night before the wedding, Daniel stood alone on the balcony, phone in hand. He finally answered the messages. "Proceed," he said quietly. "The reveal begins at the ceremony." Inside, Elena slept peacefully, unaware that the world was about to watch her marriage and misunderstand everything. She walked down the aisle barefoot, or at least it felt that way to the world. They all laughed. They all whispered. They all judged. But one man in the crowd didn't see her as broken. One man didn't see a mistake. One man had a secret that would shatter the entire city. And today, the world would learn the cost of mocking someone who gave love without asking for anything in return. Elena woke before sunrise. The city was quiet. Her apartment small, silent, untouched by luxury. She dressed in a simple white dress, nothing extravagant, nothing flashy. Her hands trembled slightly. Not from fear, but from the weight of judgment she knew awaited her. Daniel knocked softly. "Ready?" he asked. She nodded. He handed her a bouquet of wildflowers he had picked himself. No silk, no roses, just nature. Elena's chest tightened. It felt pure, honest, real. The small registry office was packed, not with guests, but spectators. Everyone who had laughed. Everyone who had whispered. Everyone who thought they understood her story. Victor was there, of course, dressed impeccably, smiling, like a man who had never lost control. He leaned toward his companion. "See, I told you she'd beg me to take her back." Elena felt the weight of their eyes. But Daniel remained calm. Hands steady, eyes forward. As Elena stepped inside, whispers erupted. "A janitor. She's ruined herself. How can she marry him?" Victor smirked, clearly expecting her to falter. Elena's fingers tightened around Daniel's hand. She glanced up at him. He whispered, "Your strength is yours, not theirs." That small sentence steadied her. For the first time, she believed it. The officiant began, words flowing through the hall. Daniel's voice was clear, calm, unwavering. "I love you," he said. "I saw you when no one else did. I trust you when the world doubted. I choose you not for your wealth, your status, or your power, but for your soul." Elena's eyes welled up. When her turn came, her voice shook not from fear but truth. "I love you," she said. "I chose you when nothing else made sense. I chose you when the world mocked me. I vow to see you as you are forever." The room went silent. Shock hung heavier than air. Daniel reached into his jacket, pulled out a small card, slipped it into Elena's hand discreetly. "Check this after the ceremony. The world isn't ready yet." Elena's fingers froze. Her heart pounded, but she did as instructed. "Wait." Victor's smile disappeared. He leaned forward, face reddening. "This is ridiculous," he shouted. "Do you realize what you're doing?" Daniel's eyes met his. Calm, immovable. He did not answer. He simply held Elena's hand tighter. The crowd sensed the tension. Gasps, whispers. Some tried to intervene. Daniel raised a finger just slightly, and silence returned. Victor's frustration was visible. The world thought they were in control. They weren't. After the vows, Elena followed Daniel to a quiet office inside the building. He handed her the card. Inside were documents, real estate titles, companies, bank statements. Elena's eyes widened. "Daniel, this is everything," she whispered. He nodded. "Yes. I've been testing the world and us. They mocked kindness, they worshipped status. But you loved me when nothing was visible." Elena sank to a chair, trembling. The weight of years of judgment crashed onto her. And for the first time, she felt free. Victor received a call moments later. His face drained of color. He stepped outside to find Elena and Daniel now surrounded by their closest supporters, lawyers, friends, media. The whispers turned to gasps. The world learned quickly. The janitor was the owner of multiple companies. Real estate, logistics, and investments. He had disappeared from society, but never from power. Victor had been outplayed by the person he underestimated the most, love. Elena walked down the hall with Daniel, shoulders back, chest high. People stared, some in shock, some in awe. She didn't smile. She didn't gloat. She simply walked with dignity. Years of fear and humiliation fell away. She had been poor in their eyes. She had been weak. But she was neither. She was free. By evening, news spread like wildfire. Social media exploded. Who is Daniel Reed? Elena Carter married a billionaire incognito. The janitor story was a lie. Everyone who mocked them had to confront reality. The city realized kindness is stronger than cruelty. Love is stronger than judgment. And appearance is never the truth. That night, Daniel and Elena stood on the balcony of his penthouse, overlooking the city. "Do you regret it?" he asked softly. Elena shook her head. "No, but I will never forget." Daniel smiled. "Good, because the next chapter will change more than just our lives." Fireworks exploded in the distance. The city watched. But they didn't know. The real power behind Daniel Reed had yet to be revealed. The world thought it had judged her. The city thought it had mocked him. But neither knew the truth. The janitor wasn't just rich. He was untouchable. And the woman who stood by him was about to witness a power that could rewrite lives, destroy enemies, and silence mockers forever. Daniel Reed stood by the balcony of his penthouse. The city of New Haven stretched below, glowing, oblivious. Elena stepped behind him. She had walked through judgment, whispers, humiliation. And now she was seeing everything in context. Daniel handed her a sleek folder. Inside, company portfolios, investment holdings, global properties. "Everything," he said simply. "Every company, every asset, every contract, hidden for a reason." Elena's hands shook. "You hid all this," she whispered. "Yes, because I wanted to know who would love me without it." Elena's eyes welled up. Years of survival, despair, and mockery suddenly made sense. Word spread fast. Social media exploded. From homeless to billionaire, Daniel Reed's secret life revealed. The janitor who married love over status is untouchable. Elena Carter, the woman who saw gold in rags. The same people who laughed at Elena's poverty now scrambled to apologize. The media couldn't stop reporting. News outlets flew drones to capture their mansion. The city was stunned. Victor Hale's face turned pale. All the power, all the influence. Worthless against a man who had been underestimated. Victor tried to approach. Offer contracts, gifts, apologies. Daniel didn't flinch. Elena didn't smile. Together, they were untouchable. Victor's arrogance crumbled. The city watched as he realized. He had mocked gold and trampled it in dust. Elena didn't need luxury to feel powerful. She walked through the mansion with purpose. She organized small events for her old friends, donated to charities she had never dreamed of supporting, and used her voice to lift those the world ignored. Daniel noticed. "You were always strong," he said softly. "But now you see it." Elena smiled. Not because of money, because she had never needed it to feel alive. Daniel and Elena's relationship grew in quiet power. Every night they shared their story, lessons of survival, humility, and trust. Elena whispered one evening, "I can't believe I chose you when everything was against me." Daniel replied, You didn't choose me because I was safe. You chose me because you saw me. And that is priceless. Their hands clasped. No words needed. Silence spoke louder than wealth or fame. Daniel revealed more. Companies he had kept secret were now ready to expand. Elena watched as he signed contracts, negotiated mergers, and spoke with global CEOs. The same man who had been mocked as mad now held power to shape economies. For Elena, it was overwhelming. For the city, humbling. Elena returned to her old neighborhood. The women who mocked her bowed their heads. The children who laughed stared in awe. Even the landlords and small-time businessmen had no words. Elena didn't gloat. She smiled quietly, proudly. She had survived. She had loved. And she had won without losing herself. Victor made one last attempt to reclaim influence. He cornered Elena, demanded she use her husband's resources to benefit him. Elena faced him calmly. Power without integrity is meaningless, she said. Go ahead, judge me again. I'll still walk taller than you. Victor's arrogance broke completely. And the city watched as the man who mocked kindness had finally learned its cost. Daniel and Elena sat together on the balcony, overlooking the city lights. The skyline was glittering, but not because of money. Because they had proven. True character is revealed when others have nothing to give. Kindness heals what cruelty cannot. Love is the strongest form of power. Elena leaned against him. You think the world will ever forgive us? She asked. Daniel chuckled. They won't have to, we've already lived it. The story didn't end with wealth. It ended with truth. The city that laughed at them now whispered their names with respect. The mad janitor. Gone. In his place, Daniel Reed, billionaire. And the woman who loved him when no one else could. And somewhere in the heart of New Haven, a lesson was etched forever. Never underestimate the person who loves without asking for anything. Never mock someone whose dignity is stronger than their poverty. True power isn't shown in wealth. It's revealed in the hearts of those who give without expectation.